Francisco Lindor is hurt. Juan Soto is changing positions. Six-man rotation. We got a lot from David Stearns in his first press conference of what I'm going to call the 2026 season, spring training press conference, however it is. We heard some absolutely insane things that don't make me feel particularly great. Me and James are going to talk about it as always. Again, not trying to be ringing the alarm bells just yet, but Lindor injury, that's the scariest thing. Those are almost the two scariest words that I've ever heard in my entire life. Before we get going into it, make sure you guys subscribe to Mets'd, not only on YouTube, but also if you're listening to us, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google. Drop us a rating, drop us a review, download, and subscribe. And we're going to be uploading more episodes as we get closer to actual baseball. It's just, there's been a dead period, which is why we've slowed down a little bit. But today, we got stuff to talk about, James, and I mean, we got to start with Lindor, right?
Yeah, it was brutal for David Stearns to come out in that press conference and be like, hey, first quick piece of news right here, Lindor hamate injury. It's like, what?
Rip the Band-Aid off.
It was less than 3 seconds into the press conference. I was like, you gotta be kidding me, dude. But I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. Definitely sucks.
Yeah.
Like, the way he went about talking about it, too, was like, also when Mendoza gave his, kind of like, Lindor's the guy that doesn't really admit he's ever injured. It takes a lot for him to actually say that he can possibly miss a baseball game.
I mean, the guy was like literally barely walking and was like, I think I might play today. And then hit one of the biggest regular season home runs in Mets history.
Literally. And I think it was Mendoza who had the line that said that Lindor told him that the soreness in his hands persisted to the point where he thought he should say something. And then they examined it more, and the team recommended he go see the specialist, which is happening today when you guys are listening to this, and they'll recommend surgery or no surgery. Not good. It's just not good. Like, David Stearns kept talking about how optimistic he was about Lindor still being there for opening day, but it's only February 10th. Like, the fact that the first day of camp you get an injury like this, you saw it around all of baseball. The injuries around the whole league today. That 3 hours on Twitter was like, what's going on right now with the whole sport? But this stinks.
Yeah, it stinks. And the problem with the hamate injury is that the power tends to go, and it's not a permanent thing, but we've seen it happen with players before where it just does take time to heal. Like, it is a very, very delicate part of your hand. Like, for you to injure your hamate like that, Lindor might not have the 30 home run season this year. It's possible. There's I think a pretty decent chance. Now, that being said, him being a switch hitter, a little bit different because I guess theoretically you could, if he hits from the left side or the right side, it might have less or more. It might have less or more of an effect. I think from the right side it would have more because it's his bottom hand as opposed to the left side, but also they're both still very much power for him. That being said, I also think at the same time, the fact that Lindor talked about the injury is like it got to a point where I feel like I should say something leads me to believe this is probably something that's been lingering for a while with Lindor. And we know, like you said earlier, he's going to play through injuries. He's not going to say anything until he physically can't do something. He gets those surgeries in the offseason on his elbow. He had the back stuff before that he played through. Now he had the hand. Maybe that's part of the silver lining here. Maybe that's part of the reason why we saw the bat speed slow down a little bit, is just because he's been dealing with a nagging hand injury that hopefully can get fixed if it needs to. I know we're trying to be optimistic. I think he's probably just going to get surgery. It feels like that's almost a smarter thing at this point, is to get the surgery.
It's definitely not, because I believe with the hamate surgery that's the removal of the hamate bone. I think that's when it takes you a lot of time for that power to come back. So I think you would love to avoid the surgery if at all possible.
It's not like a Tommy John thing where it's like it's going to have, let's get it.
It's definitely like a whether or not the specialist recommends it. But I think also the silver lining is that it seems clear like they waited for this day, because this is basically the last day that they can possibly get the surgery and he'd be ready for opening day.
Yes.
It's a 6-week recovery process with four weeks after the surgery and then 2 weeks of preparing to play baseball games, which again, we're as of right now, we're 6 weeks and 1 day from opening day. So it's amazing how good this timing is for something like this.
I will say too, and me and you talk about this all the time, Francisco Lindor is good on May 1st. I'm happy. I'm good.
Yeah, fine.
Be ready for May 1st. I don't need you ready for opening day, especially knowing that there is this injury. I want Lindor at his best by the time the season comes to the end, as early as May 1st. I don't need him ready for opening day. I would love him ready for opening day. I'm not complaining, but let's not do some stupid shit and try and rush for the first game of the year.
I'm very fine to see Jackson Clough hitting 9th in opening day. No big deal to me.
We don't need Jackson Clough. We're going Ronnie Mauricio shortstop. He got a little mention.
Yeah, you got mentioned about this, but there's also, I think that's a big difference between the people who work in these front offices and for these teams and us, the fans on the other side. For us, opening day is such a massive, unbelievably big deal, because opening day, I fucking love opening day.
I mean, it's vibes.
It's big time vibes, but David Stearns literally said later in this press conference, opening day is just one day of the season. Like, they treat opening day as kind of like the beginning of roster manipulation, more so than like this has to be the World Series assembled team. And I think that's a big difference. So if he misses like the first 4 days of the season, it will feel kind of shitty, but definitely will not be the end of the world. And again, I always get nervous when David Stearns just keeps saying how optimistic he is. Like, he said it 9 times. Like, don't keep saying it. We get it. Stop saying the same word over and over again. Like, we're optimistic. We're hopeful. Like, oh, okay, come on.
I'm innocent. It's like now you've said it too many times. I'm sussing you out, but like you said, like with opening day, and it is just game 1 of 162. And I'll say this too, with how the Mets are the best team in opening day history. They win more games on opening day than ever. Maybe it's time to change it up. Maybe we got to lose some opening days.
I mean, 2024, we definitely lost opening day. Remember, because Freddie Peralta one hit us.
Yeah, I mean, we were there, and that was, shout out Seymour Wiener, but otherwise, that was a pretty miserable day.
Yeah, this Lindor injury comes on the heels of all of the World Baseball Classic drama, which makes that very funny in retrospect, because he might have just showed up and be like, oh, I actually can't play.
And could you imagine how much worse it would have been if he got hurt with the hamate thing during the World Baseball Classic?
Or if him as the prideful guy got injured more so in the World Baseball Classic, didn't say anything because how badly he wanted. Oh no, but you said got the physical injury. But I'm saying if he didn't say anything and just started to get worse and worse and worse, then we get the surgery on March 23rd, and it's like, oh man, like now you're not playing baseball till June. That would have really sucked. But David Stearns reiterated a lot during this press conference that these two things were mutually exclusive. Nothing had anything to do with the other. One of my buddies, Connor, was like, I really hope Lindor didn't punch a wall because he wasn't allowed to play in the Classic. I was like, I don't think so, dude.
Got a pretty good feeling he didn't.
Shout out Connor. I listen to us right now. But it was also, he had to also reiterate that the Mets were not at any way, shape, or form involved in not letting Lindor play. The fact that it was insurance with the Major League Baseball Players Association and the league itself. That was the thing. Because the report came around this weekend because of our boy Bad Bunny.
Benito.
That he was going to sponsor or insure privately Lindor and Correa to play in the World Baseball Classic. A very unsubstantiated rumor that went around that was asked of David Stearns a few times at that press conference today, and he disregarded it every single time, obviously.
I mean, there's just no way that he could have actually done that.
Absolutely. I mean, he does have, I think he has ownership share of an agency.
Oh, yeah, he does. That is
true.
true.
Didn't he represent Francisco Alvarez for a hot minute?
Or Alvarez is a part of his agency. I don't know. There is something. And he does have ungodly amounts of money. Like, we know Bad Bunny is making money hand over fist.
And honestly, if he wanted to get a sports agency, I'm sure he would excel in that. The guy's a multi-talented international man. The guy's the best.
It's a Bad Bunny podcast.
Bad Bunny. It's also funny that the Mets traded all their shortstop depth like in the last month. That was funny.
This was Jet Williams' chance. This was like the Jet Williams time, or we see part 2 of Luis Angel Acuna filling in for Francisco Lindor.
Yeah, literally. And there was a question in the Mets Discord today. Our guy George, his hot take was that Luis Angel Acuna earns more WAR than Luis Robert this year.
Oh, that is a scalding hot take. I'm seeing people in fantasy baseball talking about Luis Angel Acuna as an interesting player. I'm like, we've seen him play. We know what he is. You are simply going off of the last name, and that last name is Acuna. Otherwise, there's no real ceiling for a guy like Luis Angel Acuna.
No, what you're going off of is what happened in the 40 plate appearances in 2024, where you saw
that's not the player he is.
No, definitely not. What we saw then was something that is, I don't know, it was an out of body experience. It was unbelievable what happened there. Yeah, I don't know how that happened. I don't know how he was swinging the bat 74 miles an hour. But then, to just totally digress, what this conversation did get to by the end was, if Lindor doesn't play shortstop on opening day, who is playing shortstop on opening day? And again, David Stearns over and over again with that question reiterated, we're optimistic he's going to be there opening day. We're optimistic if he's not there opening day, we'll cross the bridge when we get to it. And then the question came up, well, could that just be Bo Bichette? Something we've kind of talked about in this show recently. It's like, you got to get some shortstops on this team now. And David Stearns kind of seemed to poo-poo that while, again, shouting out guys like Jackson Clough.
There's a lot of Jackson Clough mentions on this podcast.
He said Brujan, Greg Kessinger, Jackson Clough, Christian Arroyo, and Ronnie Mauricio before mentioning Bo Bichette to play short.
To be fair, I think that we know Bo can't play short, and especially with what Stearns has talked about with defense. I think they feel confident in that the Mets will have enough offense, even if Lindor does have to miss some games, where you can't just have a black hole at shortstop, which is the most important defensive position in the infield.
Especially when you have one of the best defensive shortstops generally on your team. And you want him to spend this entire spring session, getting acclimated to third base, understanding the angles, understanding when to go in the ball, understanding the different throw. Like, that's a very important thing right now for Bo. One of the most important things to his team, honestly.
Hey, sometimes we do a little game on Foul Territory called role play. It's not what you think. We're just picking up our phones and we're talking as if we're somebody in baseball. But if you'd like that phone to be a little bit cheaper for making phone calls, who should you call, Kratz?
Mint Mobile, because you get all the same speed with a tiny little price.
Same coverage, tiny price. Ready to stop paying more than you have to? New customers can make the switch today, and for a limited time, get unlimited premium wireless for just $15 per month. Switch now at mintmobile.com/territory. That's mintmobile.com/territory. Upfront payment of $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12 months. Plan required, $15 a month equivalent. Taxes and fees extra. Initial plan term only. Over 50 gigabytes may slow when network is busy. Capable device required. Availability, speed, and coverage varies. See mintmobile.com. Save money. Get after it, FT fam.
Yeah, he needs to be able to play third base well and also hit. Like, he's an important piece.
Speaking about defense,
Let's
right
talk
after
more.
this, Juan Soto change of positions, switching corners,
Yeah.
add the clear blue sky.
You put some stats in the document for research, and it does make you scratch your head and go, why in the world was he ever playing right field? Because while he's still not particularly great in left field.
We know why he was playing right field last year.
Yeah, we know that because Brandon Nimmo has noodle arm. But, like, what he should almost have never been playing right field, it seems like, in his career. He's not good in left field. He's still negative OAA, negative fielding run value in a bunch of games. But it's much more palatable just looking at defense alone when you see negative 9 OAA over about 500 games as opposed to negative 43 over 600.
Yeah, significantly worse. And the most intriguing part of this situation to me is how it seems like they came to this decision, because it was the kind of thing where I feel like the reporters, because Stearns talked to the media, Stearns talked to media again, and Mendoza talked to the media. So it felt like the kind of thing where, like, if you and your buddies are like cooking up a fib or cooking up a lie when you're like teenagers or kids, and someone's mom talks to somebody else, and you have to make sure everyone's story is exactly the same. They both seem very careful about how they were choosing their words to make sure that this whole thing happened. And the story, I kind of like where this wound up, and I do hope this is like 100,000% the truth. Is that Mendoza visited Soto in the DR over the winter, and they were just chit-chatting, talking ball, talking about WBC. And Mendoza's like, how are they going to line you up over there? And he's like, Tatis going to play right, and I'm going to play left for the Dominican Republic. And it was like, oh, might as well not bounce back and forth between left and right, like going into the season. Just you want to play left. He said we had a very honest conversation about where he's more comfortable, and that it does seem like Soto may have nudged something like this. But also, I could care less.
Couldn't care less at all. Like, sure, what it sounds like is an upgrade. Sounds like we're going to get a better version of Juan Soto than we got last year, which is crazy to say. So I'm happy. I'm good with it, especially knowing that Carson Benge has played more right field than left field. Why not make him more comfortable? Also, like, it does track with when they were going after Kyle Tucker, how they were like, Soto will play left if we got Kyle Tucker.
Seems like that decision was made internally. We just learned about it today.
Exactly. And to me, like, it's such a non-conversation at all, other than we have nothing else to talk about in the Mets world. Like, oh no, Juan Soto's moving to left field. What are we going to do? He's still going to be one of the best offensive players in baseball, and appears he might be even better defensively. What a catastrophe we have on our hands.
Can't be worse.
No, pretty much can't be worse in right field. Unless you're like Nick Castellanos, but
yeah, really can't be worse. At least he still has the arm. But I thought some of the other interesting stuff is that, again, the reporters were kind of grilling Stearns about this, but like, this is all run prevention thing. Do you guys think this helps run prevention? Someone asked specifically what your models tell you about this. You know what David Stearns said?
What'd he say?
This is not an analytically driven decision. It's a vibes thing. If he wants to play there, he's more comfortable there, go out and play there. Who cares?
And you know what? That's what happens when you make $50 million a year. Juan Soto gets to decide what position he wants to play. And also, don't forget Francisco Lindor, our shortstop. I like hitting leadoff. And it worked out pretty well. So, like, that's what happens with their stars. They get to act like stars, and they get to do star things. Like, say, I'm going to play left field instead of right field this year, when realistically, it doesn't really matter. And our options in right field that we'll have now, we'll have cannons of an arm, as opposed to when the other option was Brandon Nimmo, who, crazy enough, is playing right field in Texas, which, again, first to third might be able to crab walk there. Love Brandon, but the arm was not strong. Like, the options there will be good arms now.
What I'm excited for is it might be too soon for you guys to hear this, but Pete Alonso's on first against the Rangers. Ball hit to right field. I want to watch Pete Alonso try to go first and third as one of the worst base runners in the league for years, trying to go from first to third on Brandon Nimmo's arm, which will be fun. But you're right about the other options now make more sense. Like this again, and David Stearns reiterated this. Like Carson Benge, it's yours if you can take it. And
Show us.
He's played a lot more right field than left. He was predominantly a right fielder in college. He played more center coming up in the minors last year and a little bit of left, but he has a rocket for an arm, cannon for an arm.
He pitched, right? Didn't he in college too?
Yeah, he was a closer. And I think he started also earlier in his college career. And also he mentioned Brett Baty playing right field, great arm. Tyrone Taylor playing right field, great outfielder and a great arm. And he also mentioned my boy, we have not talked about him yet, MJ Melendez.
You know what's crazy is if you asked how many years ago was MJ Melendez started? I'm being 30 years old now. Maybe if you asked 22, 23-year-old, Mark, about MJ Melendez.
8 years ago. Melendez right now is what, 26? He's
How old
27
is he?
now.
He's 27. Okay, so I got the timing off. But when MJ
25-year-old Mark.
when MJ Melendez was a prospect on the Royals, I loved this guy. And then he got to the majors and he had like one okay season and then fell off a cliff. So listen, talk me into him, James, because I used to be a believer. It's just that what we've seen at the major league level is really bad.
So the big thing with MJ Melendez is that there's a lot of different tiny little pieces you would like to fuse together of a baseball player, but he's never been able to fuse them together at the same time. Like you've always had at least like average to slightly above average swing decisions from MJ Melendez. You've always had an ability to pull fly balls in the air. You've had a guy that came up as a catcher, has played some first base, has played some corner outfield, and has never really been great at those things. But
anything, yeah.
He has a cannon for an arm. And again, like he kind of did get boxed out of the defensive positions he was probably most comfortable at, or most comfortable at being first base, just because there were other first base options in Kansas City who couldn't play anywhere. Melendez is a decent athlete. He's above average in sprint speed, again, above average arm. Last year, he did in the small sample kind of seem like he figured out right field a bit, which I think is a big deal. He still hits the ball hard. He still swings the bat fast. And last year, I think the reason things tanked so hard, I had a note about this in a Roto World article I did a few months ago. He tried to do a big swing change. Came back, big swing change. Horrible. Like, I think it was like 1 for 26 or something.
To
back
be fair,
down the minors, rechanged the swing, still bad.
Okay, I was gonna say like he probably did need to change his swing because he still wasn't putting up any particularly great counting numbers wise. He was still a much below average hitter. But again, when he was a prospect coming up, he was an exciting name to talk about because he was putting up again some big numbers and was a guy who could catch, who could play first, could play the outfield. He was a versatile player. So yeah, I prefer the Mets kind of last few guys on the roster to be filled with guys like this rather than the Joey Wendells and Zach Shorts of the world. Like that makes me happier.
The thing that's intriguing about this, and also just this is not manufactured love for MJ Melendez. Mark is known I've been a fond of MJ for a while, and
this was a text you sent me like a month ago out of the blue. Cold
I sent you
text.
this in November.
Yeah, cold text.
I tweeted
James
it in
just being
November.
like, I want MJ Melendez on the Mets. I'm in.
It's just any way I could squeeze him in here. And I think what this actually might still be doing, and we're still going to keep an eye on this still might be squeezing Mark Vientos.
Probably is.
That kind of is where we still remain to be because the things that we've kind
Melendez
of...
is lefty, though.
Exactly.
But Mark Vientos is righty.
Yeah, no, but Mark
Still
Vientos,
need a right-handed bat, don't we?
I think that we're comfortable with the hitting the lefties now because of Jorge Polanco's ability to switch hitter, our second baseman being a right-handed hitter in Semien, and Bo Bichette being the lefty masher. I don't know where is the. I mean, I guess
it's more of the bench bat. You still need a right-handed bat, and I don't know who that would be if it's not Vientos. Am I forgetting somebody?
You're not forgetting anybody because it could be Mauricio, but he's not good from the right side. Tyrone Taylor, technically, but he's defense first. So you are right about that. But yeah, so maybe that was where I was missing it. But I think just the fact they gave Melendez guaranteed money, I think it was like $1.5 million.
Yeah, 1.5.
And the fact that he does have a little bit more speed, he does have more defensive versatility. There's just athleticism there. There's something that I feel like they're still trying to dream on. He also could just do this for a week and get cut. Not holding ourselves to MJ Melendez in any way, shape, or form. But it's a profile that does scream a guy that could be like relatively plus strong side platoon in the right situation.
And also, it's Mets Up podcast. We got to talk about MJ Melendez for 5 minutes. That's why you guys listen to us.
I mean, why not? We're going to get to Brian Hudson soon.
Can't wait. But first we got to talk about that 6-man rotation.
Yeah, a few notes about that is that David Stearns, well, all these injury news were happening. He was like, all six of the stars are healthy, which is nice. That's good to know.
That is good.
Even though Lindor's hurt. And he's like, if we get to the opening day with all six, we'll have the conversation then. We've told you guys, the way the schedule lines up, we're not even going to need 5 for like a month. Okay, should I go through the schedule again right now?
Yeah, go through the schedule, and I guess I'll briefly talk about too why. And after that, 6-man rotation is perfect because of the innings limits, and we saw that guys ran out of gas, and the fact that Kodai Senga used to be on a 6-man rotation. It does kind of just make sense for the Mets.
All right, so before we even get to Memorial Day, the Mets are going to San Francisco. That will be April 2nd. We start a series in San Francisco if you guys have your mittens and your hats ready. Then on the 13th, after we come home from San Francisco, we're back out to Los Angeles. And then we have.
I'm going to be honest. There's no way anybody can understand the context of the schedule. You just saying dates, and then you need to tell us off days. How many games are off day?
Well, I'm saying whenever you go west or come back west, you're getting an off day. That's kind of the norm there. So we have our first game of the year, then we're off on the Friday because you have to bake in that off day for that. Then we come back Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We're in St. Louis. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday in San Francisco. Back home again. We have the Monday off. 6 games at home. Fly out to LA, and then in between LA and Chicago, we have a travel day on a Thursday. So we have a Thursday off because we're playing a 10 o'clock game on a Wednesday night in Los Angeles, and then a 2 p.m. on a Friday in Chicago. So we have that Thursday off in between, thankfully. And then when we get back from Sunday in Chicago, we have the Monday off. So 2 off days again right there in 4 days before we come home for a beautiful homestand against the Twins, the Rockies, and Nationals.
Oh, that's a good one.
Which is nice because then we go out west again for the 3rd time in the first 5 weeks of the year to the Angels. That's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then 3 in Colorado, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, off on Thursday, and Friday, Saturday, Sunday in Arizona.
Yeah, that's.
That was May 10th I got you to, and we're going to be playing in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 West Coast time zone cities.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
It's a lot of off days. I mean, it's
ridiculous.
great. That's a great schedule, though, in terms of days off for the Mets.
It is nice.
It's a bad schedule in terms of travel.
And then we also get the Mariners and the Padres the first week of June, and then I think we're done with the West Coast after that. Maybe
no more West Coast.
I think we play the whole second half in the Central and Eastern time zone.
Yeah, because we go to Texas this year because they came to us.
That second half it's at Texas. That's in September. Next time. So after June, 10th, the next time we go past the Central Time Zone is September 22nd.
Fantastic.
That is nice, but that first 6 weeks is going to be a slog. And with that, because of all those off days, we don't need 6. And for the first 3 weeks, you don't need 5. But I'm sure maybe give guys days off. The travel will be a lot. You probably carry 6, but that's where I think mostly Tobias Myers comes into the equation.
I think so, yeah. He's a good guy to have just be multiple innings in case someone does need to be pulled early.
And David Stearns specifically said he's being stretched out as a starter, so it seems like he's going to be he's going to be in Syracuse ready to start spot starts whenever we need.
Which, listen, I'm in. We love the Mets pitching depth that they have. We know that it might not be the sexiest rotation by all means. Adding Freddie Peralta to Nolan McLean helps a lot, but Mets have depth. That's something that good teams have. Good teams have depth.
And it is nice that Tobias Myers can kind of be the top of the depth in AAA, so there's just not a lot of pressure on Tong and Scott to step in immediately, even though we definitely will need those guys at some point this season. I'm excited to see both of them, really.
Even Hageman,
Pintaro, Wenninger, we got guys down there, but it's nice that
dogs in Syracuse.
Tobias Myers can kind of just soak all that up and not let us worry about it early.
We're also going to have Ryan Clifford in Syracuse starting the season in AAA, but he's someone to keep an eye out for maybe that DH spot at some point during this year.
Honestly, maybe the opposite. Fascinating quote from David Stearns saying that they were really impressed last year how much Clifford improved his outfield defense.
Whoa, I missed that.
He said the team finds him viable in both corners.
Excuse me? What?
That was what David Stearns said in this press conference. And we've heard the stuff about Ryan Clifford getting LASIK. I'm sure that helps on defense too.
Yeah, of course. If you could see the ball better, it's never a bad thing. You would never complain and be like, "Oh man, seeing the ball too well off the bat."
That is definitely a fascinating turn of events for a guy like Clifford. Again, this might be GM speak. It probably is, but for him to go out and say that openly, that they're like, "Yeah, we like him in both corners, viable."
That's super interesting if he can play the outfield. But I mean, I still do think his home is first base / DH.
I think so. I mean, it seems like that, but I mean, at this point,
does he have a cannon? Does he have a good arm?
He does. He has a gun. It seems that's got
to be it.
It seems like they're getting a little cocky about what they could do on defense's development. He played 17 games in left field last year in AAA and 4 in right field. So that's 21 games in the outfield when he only played 30. He only played 34 games there. So that was one that we missed last year. That when he went to AAA, he was predominantly playing corner outfield. That's something
Did that go over everyone's head?
I guess probably, but that's kind of a fascinating point to me because when you look at the future of this roster, it just does seem like you we're going to be one of those clubs that wants to keep first base pliable. Not locking yourself in. Like, that lets you take a shot at a guy like MJ Melendez. Like, MJ Melendez might, again, if a guy gets injured,
A lot of MJ Melendez.
if a guy goes down spring training, MJ Melendez would get a shot, corner, outfield, DH, first base. The guy's pliable, move around, trunk side platoon. But, like, just being able to take shots on 27-year-old MJ Melendez is a nice thing for your organization to be able to do.
MJ Melendez in lineup opening day?
No, I can't say that.
Okay, I was going to say MJ Melendez opening day home run bet. You're hitting it, you're buying a jersey.
Oh, if he is in the lineup, I will be placing that wager. And if he does hit, I will buy the jersey right there, then there in the stadium.
Nice. I like that. All right. Good. That could be some good Mets sub content right there. Although, really hope he's not in the lineup. That something's going wrong.
Yeah. I mean, or it's just like, I mean, we keep saying it, like Polanco, Semien, Bichette, like, these are not great knees. Those are six knees I'm concerned with in general. So it's like, it's just nice to have a guy like MJ Melendez who's, better than the Wyatt Youngs and the way back Luke Rithers of the world, who's like, can step in. Again, you can squint, you see traits, and there's something that can happen there if he could just manage to put his bat in the baseball.
Last insane guy to talk about, Brian Hudson. Little Brian Hudson talk for us, James. Big lefty that was in Milwaukee at one point. I don't know if he's ever been particularly good, but just another big lefty arm to have.
2 years ago, he was outrageously good. 2 years ago, he had a 1.7 ERA and a 0.7 WHIP with a strikeout per inning.
How many
43 games, 62 innings.
That's a great year.
Most of those happened in the first half. And I remember he was a guy who I think was like a middle reliever who was supposed to go to the All-Star game. He might have gotten hurt. He pitched a lot for Milwaukee that year, 2024, when they were figuring out. That was before Uribe took that step forward.
I love that.
But Hudson's really odd because he's like a straight-up side armor, but he also gets 7.5 feet of extension.
It's gross.
So in terms of left-handed pitchers in the league who throw an arm angle below 20 degrees, which is when you get really side army, he has by far the most extension. The only other guy who's comparable is Kyle Backus of the Phillies.
Wow, that's an insane name to pull out. I was going to think maybe AJ Puck.
That's the only one. Like, even a guy like Chris Sale, he throws an 8-degree arm angle and he gets 6.5 feet of extension. Hudson, that extension helps him because he throws 90 poo. Like, it's a straight up 90, 91. But like, your perceived velocity on that's probably like something like 94, which is like above average from the left side. He had a really nice cutter. That was his bridge pitch in 2024 when he was borderline all-star. It was the four-seamer, the cutter, the sweeper. He just didn't throw the cutter last year. He also didn't pitch a lot. The White Sox, who knows what was going on, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, Minter's not coming back till May, so it's like give a lefty a shot. He comped kind of similarly, arm angle and extension to Dickie Lovelady. So it might just be traits that we're seeking, which makes sense.
And the fact that Dickie Lovelady had to, take the cut at some point, and then when he goes away, you're like, well, we need to get our next Dickie Lovelady.
Manai is also a guy who's about 7 feet of extension and a 16-degree arm angle. So again, it seems like the guys who are in this archetype, we have at least tried to get them, all of them. Hobie Milner's another one. He's more underhand, but he actually gets him. He gets like 7 feet of extension. I'm sure the Mets have dreamed to get him.
David Stearns. That's
those conversations happen 1,000%.
Hobie Milner posters up in his house.
Yes, we need Hobie. But again, Brian Hudson's just nice. He doesn't have an option, so I'm sure he's the guy that makes the opening day roster if he doesn't suck in spring training, but then possibly gets cut if someone has to get cut.
And then last guy to talk about, little bag discourse here. My God, I can't even believe we have to say anything
bag
about
watchers.
This. Yeah, bag watch. You never watch anybody's bag. That's the first thing you learn. Never watch anyone's bag. But, of course, Yankee fans were watching Luke Weaver's bag because he walked into Mets spring training with a Yankees bag, which, I mean, if anyone's been around a major league clubhouse, when you change teams, when you move teams, when it's the first day of spring training, you bring what you've got. You expect nobody has the Mets bag typically the day before they get there. I'm sure Juan Soto had some Yankee stuff with him last year at points in time when he was in spring training. Talk about something that nobody gives a shit about at all. It's going to be what bag you bring to the game because you're going to get a new one. You're going to fill it in. Guys wear gloves that they get for other teams with a different team. Like, it's so inconsequential.
And of course, the people who care the least about this are the actual athletes on the field. Because we see them doing it. It's no big deal. If this was a big deal the first time this went viral, like 5 years ago, whenever the first time someone decided to make this viral, the guys would have just stopped it. But it's like, all right, I'm going to get the bag in 3 minutes. Who cares? Like, oh, now I have a spare bag. Why not? And like, this is...
Pete Alonso probably showed up to Orioles spring training camp with a ton of Mets shit. Also, the similar color. He might be wearing Mets belts still. Like
socks, maybe. Edwin Diaz, I guarantee, had some Mets stuff just around when he showed up to Dodgers camp. The difference is that those teams don't have the same media scrutiny that just the New York market has, especially when you have outlets that technically cover both baseball teams. So you know for a fact if you put out a tweet an Instagram post, a video, a TikTok, a story, anything, you get wicked impressions. People just have to take those impressions to their bosses. It's how they keep their jobs.
Yeah, I mean, good for them.
100% no issue there, but it's just the discourse of the, the media marvels, the Keith McPhersons, the Michael Kays, who talk about these things for 3 days. It's like, you guys got to figure out something else to fill the air with.
Yeah, I mean, you know what that's telling me? It's the Mets City. If it wasn't the Mets City, why are we talking about them so much? For a couple guys who like to claim that they don't care about the Mets and don't think about the Mets, it's crazy how every time I see them on the internet, they're just yapping their gums. It's crazy.
I think it's because the Yankees' payroll's officially gone up this year compared to last year, so that was the one
Can't
slant.
complain.
That was the one slant they had. So at this point, you can't really say anything anymore.
Yeah, whatever. It's such
What are
a
you gonna
loser conversation, but we did have to bring it up because anytime we get a chance to dunk on Keith McPherson and Michael Kay, we're going to take that chance.
Yeah, just to make sure no one's taking this too seriously.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't even think I saw any Mets fans really even getting upset at all.
I think I saw the opposite. I think mostly Mets fans are like, "You guys joking?" To the Yankee fans.
This is what we're grasping at now, but that's 30 minutes. Messed up. We did it. We had something to talk about. That's like news. Wish it wasn't Francisco Lindor possibly being hurt. That part sucks. But otherwise, we're getting close. Spring training is getting closer and closer. We'll have games soon. Make sure you guys are subscribed to Mets'd, not just on YouTube, but also on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, wherever you find your podcast. Drop us a rating, drop us a review, download, and subscribe. You can follow James on social media at
James Shiano.
I am Giraffe Neck Mark. Thank you guys for watching. We'll catch you on the next one. Peace out.
Peace out, guys. Let's go Mets.